All right. So, Fly Low.
What's up?
Some of the visuals.
I didn't even expect an audience, so.
Oh.
I know, this is so nice.
Yeah, well, I was like, what? Okay.
These
What's up, y'all? How y'all doing?
RSVP'd weeks ago, days ago,
Wow.
sometimes hours ago.
What's up? What's up, folks?
Very excited to have them here with us. So, watching Ash in that opening scene, it recalls other big sci-fi movies, franchises. But what were, for you, the early touchstones?
I had to pull from different influences aside from the obvious because, you can't do Alien again, for the 80,000th time. So I tried to pull from different things and pull from different genres and watching different types of movies. I was really into Halloween and watching a lot of John Carpenter stuff. And I was playing a lot of video games too. Resident Evil, Silent Hill, and Dead Space. A lot of the video games made it into the movie as well. And that's kind of my default is playing video games. Anybody playing Marvel Rivals right now out here? Penny Parker?
Eiza, I know you're coming off Three Body Problem, which was this huge adaptation.
So good.
Right? Did that kind of make you want to stay in the realm of sci-fi? As an actress, do you feel like that's a genre that might offer you certain creative opportunities that others don't?
I'll do one of you. No worries. Thank you. I love sci-fi. I think that I'm just like really, I find that world fascinating, I guess, because in performance, it just lets you be. There's no limitations in sci-fi. There's, I love playing grounded characters, and there's something really fun about that. But the fact that you can morph reality, and it seems to be a constant. I mean, I was just thinking about it. I have like 2 other movies that it's like defying reality. Like I really find defying reality and playing with what our mind perceives as real and what doesn't really interesting as an actor. It lets you tap into unnecessarily things that you do on a daily basis. And so, yeah, I really enjoyed it. But I'm not going to lie. When I read this script specifically, I'm a big Silent Hill girl. Like I grew up playing all the Silent Hills. And it reminded me immediately to Silent Hill 2 and obviously Room, where she kind of wakes up and it starts in the room and you have to kind of figure a way out. And that immediately, when I started speaking to Steven, was like, man, this reminds me. And then he was like, oh, my POV is going to be through you. And I just like geeked out like crazy. So my approach for this specifically was less, I guess, on the sci-fi. I always kind of saw it more as a horror movie. It's survival horror movie than necessarily diving like what Interstellar would be like a sci-fi. It was more of like it was different for sure.
Aaron, obviously, you've got some big sci-fi credits and on your resume as well.
You
Westworld,
do.
that great episode.
I
of
love
Black
sci-fi.
Who doesn't?
Your character Brian, when he's introduced, he seems there's a lot of reasons not to trust him, and then there's one huge reason to, because he may be who gets Rhea out of this. How much did you know about where Brian would end up when you started, and was there any part of his journey that you were really surprised by?
No, I mean, it was all very much on the page, so there's no real surprises there in terms of story, but I mean, I just had to, run towards this film with this guy leading the ship and my dear friend. We've been friends for north of a decade now, and this was presented to us at the same time, and it was just so fun to be able to tackle it from day one together. It was a dream, but yeah, and you don't know if you could trust him at the beginning, really?
I mean,
really?
He
I thought it was
nice. He shows up, and the entire crew has been massacred, other than her.
So
spoiler alert. But
when my friend watched it, I played it to a friend, and
yeah.
as soon as he saw you, I don't trust him.
Oh, really?
I don't trust him.
Yeah,
and then 10 minutes later, he was like, I don't trust her. So
there you go. Good.
Yeah, good luck.
It definitely keeps you guessing. These two characters, they are just trying to gauge whether or not they can trust one another, and then they're just trying to figure, how to survive.
I think it's because he spells Brian with an O. I think that's why I was like, this is...
Yeah, that kind of confused me as well.
Like the day before we started filming, he comes up to me, he was like, his name's Brian, right?
I said the same thing.
I was like,
yeah.
No.
It's Brian.
Brian.
You've all touched on the psychological thriller element of this, the paranoia of it, and I think the score does a lot to drive that feeling too. It's this classic synth-driven sound. What other films did you take inspiration from in developing the music? And since it sounds like you guys know your way around a psychological thriller, were there any that you pulled from in channeling your characters?
For the soundtrack, I tried to lean into things that I could do alone with very minimal equipment, because that's what I had, and I was in New Zealand working on the music. So I tried to, go to films like Halloween, where John Carpenter did the soundtrack with no time, and just try to I was kind of up against it in the same way. So I tried to approach it and get in that headspace a little bit. But I took inspiration from a lot of stuff. There's, Silent Hill, of course. I love Disaster Piece, and just try to mix up the influences a bit so it wasn't so obvious. I put like a lot of weird, my little twist on Berlin techno, so there's some weird stuff in there.
So good. He handled the entire score himself as well, and it was, like I said before, it was really all on the page, and the fact that we shot pretty much all of it in a practical way, it really just took you there. It really felt like you were on another planet, because the base camp, was in a stage, but then right outside was the planet, and
we were surrounded by it
surrounded
too,
by the
which is
planet,
great.
and you just really felt like you were there.
Yeah, I guess that adapting is the name of the game, right? Especially when you're doing independent filmmaking. We're running on a tight budget. There's not enough time. We have to get scenes, like you remember, we got to get scenes done, and you really have to just be prepared and ready to adapt and figure things out on the day. But that, if you have a good attitude, with Steven and both Aaron and him had, was like, you can find so much and you can discover so much. And then we'd be against the wall on like certain things, and we would powwow and be like, okay, how can we make this work? And so it feels like doing a school project, but in a smaller but bigger budget. And you're just like, yeah, man, it's these rare movies that come across our table that we can kind of go, fuck it, and go and do what you want to do. There's no right or wrong. There's not like a ginormous studio telling you, this is it. Yeah, what a gentleman. See, this is why we love him.
My Cliff's Notes. Thank you.
Yeah, see? But yeah, you don't have a studio in the sense of like controlling, and you gotta just enjoy those moments as an actor, as an artist. They don't come around often. And then you have one of your best friends with you, free falling with you, and then new friends. It was just a dream come true.
To whet folks' appetite for the movie, I did want to, we already talked about the massacre, weird spellings of the name Brian, but,
do you need to know anything else?
It's very pretty. Go watch it.
Well, there are a lot of really unnerving scenes. There's a lot of heady themes, too, where the dangers of a quick fix, right? Whether technology really goes hand in hand with progress. What do you see, though, as the more human elements that will ground the story for people a bit more?
I think the isolation and survival. I think also too, just kind of waking up with this fresh start in a really dark scenario. It's just out the gate. I think you're really pulled into that. It's just like, what the hell is going on? The kind of time wasting in a lot of other films, we kind of skip that. We get right into it. We're right at the some shit just went down out the gate. So you're like, okay, what happened? I need to know.
And it doesn't let up, you know.
Yeah.
Thank you all so much for joining
Thank
us.
you.
The movie is Ash. Please look for it if you want to get
March
the crap scared out of you.
21st,
March
movie
21st.
theaters. Please go support
Go
independent
check it out.
filmmaking.
You'll love it.
Thank you.
Thank you.